Hello and welcome back to the Gubba Podcast. I'm Gubba, a first-time homesteader following in the footsteps of my homesteading forebears. In this podcast, I discuss prepping, homesteading, and everything in between. Today, I am going to be discussing food storage and why it is more critical now more than ever to have a food storage. Along the way, I'm going to be giving you tips on how to build a food storage for you and your family. I know that building a food storage can be overwhelming, especially when you have social media and it is so easy to compare to others and what they have. I've been there and it doesn't make you feel good, but don't worry though, because I am here to help you. It has been a hot minute since my last podcast, and I'm sorry about that, but I have been working on something huge. My time has been consumed in building my latest project, which is my brand new food storage course. Yes, I made a Gubba Homestead course. It is created with you in mind and designed to help you efficiently build a food storage. It is filled with wisdom and tips that I wish I had when I started building my food storage. Essentially, I started making food storage tip videos that were going viral on TikTok, and you had so many questions for me. I would address them in another video, but then I quickly realized that was not an efficient way to keep up with all of the tips. I personally would feel overwhelmed gathering tidbits of information here and there and would prefer to have all of my resources in one place. So that is why I created the Homestead Prepper's Guide to Food Storage course, and I am so excited about it. I was talking on my stream the other day about how we all have our things, right? Our hobbies. Well, food storage, it's my thing. Prepping, it's my thing. So I love sharing it with the world. People are enrolling now, and if you enroll right now, I have 2 free ebooks with it, my favorite pickled recipe booklet, and my food storage downloadable. You can check all of that out in the show notes. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. And if you happen to enroll, also please let me know what you think by sending me an email. I love hearing from you and getting to know the Gubba Homestead community. I've met so many cool people who are sharing their story with me, where they're at homesteading, what their dreams are. And I think that you are really amazing. We're all in this together. Okay, I hate that phrase, we're all in this together, because we heard that so much in 2020 during the weirdness. But really, I feel like we're all in this together with being able to grow our own food, build a food storage, and really prepare for the future. And whenever I share food storage tips online, I am met with comments like, only in America, or this is a waste of money, or this is selfish, feed people who need it. And I am here to tell you that responsibly building a food storage for you and your family is not selfish. Building a food storage is not only for Americans. I don't understand this comment at all. And building a food storage is not a waste of money. In fact, it is a great investment for your money. This is not financial advice, by the way, just my personal opinion. Let's talk about the only in America comment. Recently, I did an interview with another British newspaper about my food storage. If you didn't know, Daily Mail UK did an article on me and my food storage. It was really cool. And it so happened that another outlet reached out to me, and people in Europe are perplexed by food storage. The person interviewing me told me that it isn't a thing over in the UK because land isn't accessible and it just isn't as common. They're really used to just going to the grocery stores. And when I say people in Europe, I don't mean to make that as a blanket comment, just like people are making the comment of, oh, only in America. This is just from the information that I've gathered from the people that I have had an interview with, and also comments that I receive on my videos that I post. So many people are like, oh, this is just an American thing. Imagine living in America. So when I say people in Europe aren't used to prepping or building a food storage, I don't mean to be a blanket comment, just sort of a general thing that I have picked up from my interviews. But anyways, when this interviewer shared with me that it's just not a common thing over there, I was sitting there thinking, okay, I wouldn't want to live somewhere small and condensed like the UK, but if I did, that would be all the more reason to prep. Like, think about the UK, super small area compared to like America where it's sprawling, you have mountains, you have all these resources. The UK is small, you're surrounded by the ocean. Like, oh my gosh, that is all the more reason to prepare for emergencies, because I could not imagine the grocery store system over there. It's probably not that reliable. Any small inconvenience or even the war is just going to knock that whole system out of place. When I brought up the food shortages and especially the increase in food prices, she said that they are seeing it there too. I've also received comments from people all the way in New Zealand and Australia saying that they are seeing an increase in food prices and egg shortages. So if this is happening around the world, why aren't more people prepping and building a food storage? Like, why is it such a foreign thing and such a meme for it to be an American thing? Many Americans do prep, I think, and I'm sure that narrative is taken and spun on the world news media to make Americans look crazy and discourage others from prepping because they see on the news, oh, this crazy American, they've stocked up food for 30 years. Wow, they're crazy. And then they sit in their groups and they laugh and then they start thinking, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't prep. If people think we are crazy, they wouldn't want to prep. But an unprepared people are an easy to control population. Keep that in mind. My point here is that prepping is for everyone, regardless of where you live. Take your individual situations into mind and remember that grocery stores are not a reliable food system. We saw that break in 2020, and every time an emergency disaster rolls around, they are wiped clean. Don't subject yourself and your family to food shortages or even increasing prices. The person I spoke to in the UK said they are seeing an increase in price of goods. So food storage is a good investment. Again, not financial advice, but you can beat inflation by building a food storage. You end up spending less in fuel, and if you buy in bulk and store for later, you save yourself for when the prices go up. You can stock up on all of the items or ammo you want, but in the end, you can't eat ammo or matches or batteries. You need food and water to survive, so think about how valuable that is. When Venezuela collapsed, people had to wait in lines miles long to get a loaf of bread. Not only that, but the price of bread went from like $1 to thousands overnight. Same thing happened in Germany back in the day before World War II. The currency system collapsed and prices skyrocketed. Have you taken the time to look around and see the patterns happening here in America and around the world? I don't know about you, but I don't want to depend on anyone else to feed me when the system collapses. And that's not an if, it's a when. The reality is we are living right now is not guaranteed to last for forever. How many civilizations have been built and then collapsed? Ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, ancient Greece. These societies sadly are not forever and the future is not guaranteed. All I'm saying is that prepping is not just for Americans, it is for everyone, everywhere. If it isn't popular where you are at, then don't share with anyone. In fact, it is better to not share with anyone what your plans are, what you have prepped. Keep it to yourself because truly it is no one's business. And in regards to the comment of, this is a waste of money. Wasting of one's money is relative. What I consider a waste of money may not be considered a waste of money to the person writing the comment. Don't let anyone detour you from building a food storage because they tell you it is a waste of money. Food will go bad or an emergency won't happen. What people don't realize is that when you have an active rotating food storage, which means you are actively eating what you have stocked up and rotating through it, you just have an expansive grocery store at your home to rely on instead of an outer system that you have to travel to. Food doesn't go bad when you take the time to organize it and keep charts of what you have coming in and what you have going out and keep track of expiration dates. If food doesn't get wasted, then you aren't wasting any money because you are feeding yourself and your family. All of these kinds of charts too and methods can be found in my food storage course that comes along with the downloadable bundle. I have tried to explain this to people because the common thought is that food storage is just for a later date and it just sits there. No, food storage should be active and you should be using it to cook everyday meals. Just imagine what you have in your pantry, the foods you eat, but stocked up on for years inside of your home or another storage area. You don't have to let it just sit there. I consider this an investment instead of a waste of money. A waste of money is relative, so you decide what is best for you and your family. Another comment I get is, this is selfish. Give away to people who need it. When you start building a food storage, people will tell you that you are selfish because you are responsible for the empty shelves of the store. This is so far from the truth because the empty shelves at the store are due to people not prepping, and then they panic buy and purchase everything they see on the shelves without a plan. If you are preparing ahead of time and have a plan for the food you are buying, you are not emptying the shelves. When 2020 rolled around and the grocery stores were chaos, the average prepper wasn't there fighting over the last bag of dried beans because they already had their stock of beans back at their place. Building a food storage is not selfish, and you are actually doing a service for yourself and for your peers because you won't have to empty any shelves or shop and panic the next time a disaster rolls around. There was one commenter who was fighting to the death in the comments about how preppers are the ones responsible for the empty shelves. Everyone was replying with logic and saying how preppers don't have to go to the store during an emergency, but this person would not give it up. So sometimes you just can't argue with people who have no logic. You just gotta let it go. And this is why when you start prepping and people judge you or think you are selfish, you just need to ignore them. Just because they are comfortable relying on an unreliable system, it doesn't mean that you have to be comfortable doing the same. I have a few friends who follow my prepping stuff, and I know that they think I'm crazy, but truly, I don't care. I've encouraged my family to start prepping, and it has made me happy when they call me and tell me how thankful they are that they built up a food storage in their pantry, or they utilize their freezer storage so they can store more food. It has saved them time and money and brought peace and security into their lives. Again, I teach you how to do all of this in my food storage course, and I keep mentioning it because I am so excited. It's my first course. I'm sharing my passion. As you can tell, as I'm talking to you about food storage and how important it is, I am so passionate for everyone to have one. But along the lines of food storage being selfish, people also like to comment and say, why don't you give this to people who are poor or hungry? First of all, who says I don't, or that you even have to? It is kind of weird that people like to dictate how others spend their money. I always imagine the people who make those comments never give anything, expect others to do all the giving while they enjoy common leisures like their brand new iPhone 12, but will complain that they can't give away food because they can't eat themselves. Like, it's just kind of a clown world out there. I know we kind of see this. But you see how idiotic things can get, especially when you share online. My tip would to be not to share that you are prepping. Help others where you can though, and to start building your food storage today. Here I am telling you not to share online as I'm sharing everything online, but don't worry, I'm taking one for the team so you don't have to. But disasters like the Ohio train derailment are becoming more common. Imagine one day you wake up to learn a train derailed near you and toxic chemicals are being spilled into your water supply. What do? If you have prepped water storage, have a water purifying system, reverse osmosis in this specific case, and have other water purifying means, then you aren't going to have to be as concerned as someone who has nothing prepared. Heck, even bottled water prepped under a bed is going to help you in this case. You always need to think long term in every scenario, but starting with just something like plastic water bottles is a great start. But seriously, these train derailments are kind of weird, and then it makes me think, okay, it's going to poison the soil, so that's going to affect the food that the people are growing, that affects your garden. What do you do? And also in situations like that, there's only so much you can do, but I think it is the best possible scenario to prepare the best way that you can with where you're at and what you're doing. My message to you right now is to start preparing today. If you want some help, you know where to find me on all of my socials, Gubba Homestead, GubbaHomestead.com. You can check out my food storage course and everything to help you get organized with where you are at. I, again, am so passionate about food storage. Everyone should have one. There's no excuse not to. I hope that you found this podcast discussion helpful, got you thinking along the lines. It's so crazy to think, though, all these ancient civilizations that rose to power and then collapsed. I mean, what do we have going on here in America? America's only, 300 years old? No, 200 and some years old. So think about that. America is pretty young. Who's to say it's going to be here forever? Who's to say it's going to be here in the next 100 years? I personally think that the world landscape is going to look incredibly different. I'm not going to be eating Z-bugs. Are you going to be eating Z-bugs? I'm definitely not. But thank you so much for listening and spending your time here. I hope it truly has been helpful. Until next time, don't do anything a Gubba wouldn't do.